we're going to do SB 766, section, items 34. Then we'll do yours, and then I've got some other folks have been waiting all day. Okay, so let me accept the committee amendments first, which do the following. They define total price for the purposes of requiring the advertised total price to match the total price given to a consumer at a dealership. The amendments also further define what an add-on product or service that provides no benefit to the consumer is, to include 8 specific worthless add-ons. We strike some of the record-keeping requirements under the bill and classify dealerships need not hold on to Google reviews and Yelp reviews, those kinds of things. We further clarify the total price needs only be disclosed once to the consumer. And we further clarify dealerships need only to disclose once to the consumer that add-on products and services are optional. These are a lot of the issues that have been raised in previous discussions, and we wanted to get those addressed. So this bill is ultimately about trying to add critical consumer protections for car purchasers and car leasers by codifying the Federal Trade Commission's CARS rule and establishing a cooling off period for used cars. Unfortunately, late last year, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit overturned the rule, but only on administrative grounds. Between 2019 and 2023, the FTC reviewed literally over hundreds of thousands of complaints around the country and about unfair, deceptive sales practices, with car purchasing complaints consistently ranking as a top source of consumer complaint. So Californians filed about 15,000 auto-related complaints to the FTC each year. And it's common unfortunately, for some dealers to not be transparent about the full price of the vehicle, the availability of discounts and rebates, the monthly payment, the down payment, whether it's a purchase or a lease. And these tactics can sometimes cause a lot of harm and confusion for consumers, along with harming honest car dealers who are actually trying to do the right thing. So, one of the most frequent complaints is we hear from dealers misrepresenting add-on services or features that were optional. There was a case where they discovered that something like 83% of consumers had hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of add-on charges added to their contracts without their knowledge or consent. It's a common problem for consumers to feel that they're getting pressure to agree to purchase a vehicle when they may have been misled on several key points, including the price, the interest, the add-on services and features. For used cars in particular, problems with the vehicle might not be initially obvious. And it's also sometimes we see situations where affiliation with the Department of Defense or armed forces is used a purported affiliation is used to make a sale with potential for repossession of a service member's vehicle. So we're trying to give people some more time to review the purchase agreement carefully, speak with a trusted person about the purchase, fully inspect the vehicle. As amended, this bill gives a 3-day business day cooling off period that doesn't require consumers to pre-purchase the return period. It would permit dealers to charge a restocking fee. And it also, in the end of the day, is really about making sure that the price that's advertised is what you're actually going to pay. People show up. I've heard from so many people now, even since I introduced the bill here in California, folks who went in, thinking they were going to spend $30,000 on a car and walked out of there spending $38,000 or $40,000 on a bunch of additional add-ons that they were basically led to believe were mandatory. So with me to speak in support of the bill, we have William Bradley, who's a consumer whose experience speaks to the need for this bill, and also Rosemary, who's here from Consumers for Auto Reliability and Safety.
Thank you. Floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Will Bradley. I'm a constituent of Senator Nilo. About a year ago, I purchased an older model Subaru from a dealer in cash. It was an as-is deal. The hope was to spend a little less on a secondary vehicle so my wife and I could purchase a home in the coming months. I inspected the vehicle on the lot and asked about rust issues and other material issues with the vehicle, and was reassured that the vehicle ran well and was free of rust, despite being from Pennsylvania. During my little inspection that I did myself, I went under the vehicle and found that it had undercoat sealant covering the entire frame, which reassured me that it had been properly taken care of. The salesperson also handed me a clean Carfax, which doubled down on the reassurance. After purchasing for $10,000 cash, I drove home, and within the next 2 days I heard rattling, which I went to inspect further up on jack stands and found that the undercoat sealant had been hiding rust holes in the frame and the body over top a layer of duct tape. So These issues were corroborated by multiple mechanics, and I have had to go into a litigation process that has the promise of taking up to about 2 years from the purchase date. Had I been able to take advantage of the cooling off period, I would probably be in a home that I own today, instead of going through this lengthy litigation process. And I would not have had to purchase a secondary vehicle to replace that first one. Thank you.
Thank you. Other witnesses in support?
Mr. Chair and members, Rosemary Shahan, President of Consumers for Auto Reliability and Safety. We greatly appreciate Senator Allen's leadership in offering this bill, which will help address the number one reason consumers contact consumer complaint agencies, including the Better Business Bureau and state and local consumer protection agencies, car sales and service problems. They're pretty ubiquitous, and it would help consumers like Mr. Bradley be able to get out of a bad car deal without having to litigate. You can have like a no-fault quickie divorce from your car if you find out that you were cheated over the terms or the condition if it's a used car. And there are a number of car dealers who currently offer a return option for car buyers voluntarily because they know it's really popular, especially for people who are buying used cars where it's still a really big investment. And we expect that if the tariffs go into effect, the price of cars is going to increase even more. So more people may be buying used cars than before. And they need a kind of protection, especially regarding the condition of the car, which doesn't always show up in like a Carfax report. If there's, for instance, odometer tampering, which is actually extremely common, or if the seller did what's known as clear coding, where they disconnect the battery or use a tool to clear the code so that the check engine light doesn't come on. And I hear from consumers over and over again that they drive the car maybe 60 or 100 miles and the check engine light comes on, and that's when they realize they have a major problem that's going to be very expensive to repair. Under the bill, they would be allowed to return the car and get a refund.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sabina Tacker with the Consumer Attorneys of California in support.
Good evening, Karen Stout on behalf of Unidos US in support.
Good evening, Danny Kando-Kaiser on behalf of the National Consumer Law Center as well as California Low-Income Consumer Coalition in support.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members. Robert Harrell with the Consumer Federation of California in support. Thank you.
Anyone else in support of SB 766? Seeing no one coming forward, if you're opposed to SB 766, please queue up.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members. Anthony Sampson on behalf of the California New Car Dealers Association. Our position on SB 766 has remained consistent since its introduction. That is, we strongly oppose the idea of grafting components of a flawed and ambiguous federal rule on top of what is already the most robust and consumer protective vehicle transaction law in the country. But we have also been consistent in saying that we are happy to work with Senator Allen on improving existing law without adding subjective new obligations that will result in increased legal claims. To this end, the Senator has conveyed his concerns with the existing process to us, and we have responded with a set of amendments that we believe addresses these concerns by increasing the standard of doing business for dealers throughout the state without unnecessarily increasing litigation exposure. For example, the Senator said that he is concerned that consumers may find that the price of the vehicle when they go in to buy it at the dealership is higher than the advertised price. To address that, we have proposed to amend current law to state that the vehicle's advertised price must include all dealer-installed add-ons and exclude rebates. The Senator has also said that he is concerned that customers may sign documents authorizing the sale of optional products without knowing they are optional. To address that, we have proposed to add a statutory disclaimer to California's existing pre-contract disclosure statement, clearly stating that all products are optional and the customer can purchase the vehicle without buying any of these products. The senator has also raised concerns that some dealers are selling useless add-on products and services to consumers. Rather than accept language in the bill today that would prohibit the sale of these products if the consumer would not receive a, quote, benefit from them, a highly subjective standard that will undoubtedly result in significant new legal claims against dealers, we have proposed to provide an exhaustive list of these products and services that expressly prohibit them. And finally, the senator has raised concerns that some dealers are selling used vehicles without disclosing major prior damage to customers. This allegation is used to justify the universal 3-day right to return for used vehicles, which may work for some larger dealerships, but is unworkable for many of the smaller ones. We appreciate the hard work that the committee has put in on this issue, but the proposed amendments as they are summarized in the analysis, we have not seen the text of those, do not resolve our concerns, and we encourage the adoption of our proposed amendment. Anthony Bento, the Chief Legal Officer of the California New Car Dealers Association, is here for any technical questions.
Right, thank you. All right. Others in opposition?
James Lombardo on behalf of the California Motorcycle Dealers Association in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Megan Loper on behalf of Insurance Auto Auctions. We have an imposed unless amended position and we'll continue to work with the author.
Thank you.
Dan Shaw on behalf of Carvana as well as the Civil Justice Association of California. Opposed.
Thank you.
Kenton Stanhope with the California New Car Dealers, also here on behalf of the Orange County Auto Dealers Association, the San Diego New Car Dealers, and the Greater Los Angeles New Car Dealers Association, all in strong opposition.
Thank you.
John McHale on behalf of Enterprise Mobility in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Louis Brown on behalf of CarMax Auto Superstores in opposition.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and members. Naomi Padron on behalf of the California Credit Union League in opposition.
Thank you.
Good evening, Larissa Cespedes here on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce in opposition.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Rob Ross on behalf of Nitrophil in opposition to the bill.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition, please approach the microphone. All right, seeing no one else approach the microphone, let us bring it back to the committee for questions. Questions by committee members. See, yes, Senator Ashby has a question.
Thank you, Chair Umberg. I know it's late. I just want to ask of the author. We've talked a little bit about this bill. I have some concerns, but they were already spoken about by your opposition, and I know that you see this bill as a work in progress and that you have committed to working with the opposition, and I want to support you today to give you an opportunity to continue those conversations, but I just want to make sure because that you understand, for me at least, if those changes aren't made and you aren't able to come to an agreement with them, my support would end in the Judiciary Committee. So I want to give you an opportunity to just speak to that. I know that you believe this bill is still quite a work in progress. You've made that clear to me. So I just want to make sure that that's something you're able to convey here.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to thank the opposition for proposing the amendments. Now, they really do propose redrafting the bill in its entirety. So that's why we have to spend some time really thinking through all the implications. We've had productive conversations. They have raised a number of issues, right? So they basically want to move the entire bill to the vehicle code. So the question is, so one of the issues we want to make sure that someone has. I'm not philosophically opposed to that, but we want to make sure people still have recourse. If there's a problem, someone violates the law. The DMV, quite frankly, has patterns of pretty low enforcement, and the state's got to be mindful of adding new costs to that agency. So that's one issue. They talked about one of their other amendments was to strike the cooling off period, and instead require damage be disclosed on a used car via the Carfax report. What I like about the cooling off period, speaking to the gentleman who we heard from, the witness, it gives the ability, for someone to go get it inspected afterwards and find an issue, and then they can return the car. And the dealers also recognize in our recent meeting with them that the Carfax report's not sufficient oftentimes, and we're not aware of a perfectly comprehensive report out there. So that was another issue. They were also talking about maybe just banning only 3 scam add-ons that don't provide a benefit to consumers. But I know the committee amendments recognize the need for clarity by listing eight specific add-ons that don't provide a benefit to the consumer. I do think it's important that this definition not be too restrictive, since technology develops over time, new scams arise, things change. So there's just a few things I think we're going to have to spend some time on. The opponent suggested that to just have a disclaimer at the bottom of the contract specifying that the add-ons are all optional. I get their argument that they're offering to apply it to new and used cars, but the cooling off period allows people to review the contract and realize that they were maybe misled about add-ons being optional and then consider returning the car. So anyway, those are some of the things that I think are outstanding. I'm not opposed philosophically to their proposal, but I think we need to just figure out how it implicates all the things we're trying to address here. And but I do want to say I appreciate them hearing us out, understanding what our core concerns are, responding in kind. We just need to make sure that their response truly meets the goals that we've set out when pursuing the bill. And so that's why it is a work in progress, because we need, they really want to do it in the vehicle code. We need to just feel confident that that's still going to, by moving it over to the vehicle code, it's still going to meet our needs. And quite frankly, I think that the glaring challenge we have here is on the enforcement side, and the extent to which DMV is able to really enforce, and the extent to which they're overstretched as it is, and there's some additional costs associated with that. I think that's going to be just a continual sticking point for us that we're going to struggle with.
All righty. Thank you very much. Other questions? Senator Stern.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Allen, for bringing this measure forward. It's unfortunate we have to pursue this legislation in light of the rollback of the FTC rules, and that we're put in the position to have to supplant that rule that, according to the analysis, would have saved American car buyers over $3 billion a year. Especially, that was proposed prior to tariffs and the entire economic disruption we're facing. I would imagine there's going to be even more misleading activity going on for potential car buyers in terms of, what made their car more expensive or less expensive, and things that are, difficult to understand. I didn't hear much acknowledgement about the significant amendments taken in Senate Transportation Committee regarding the expansion of the cooling off period that you accepted, as well as a number of other measures. So I would point to page 13 of the analysis that iterates in pretty significant detail the amendments you've already taken. So I'm hoping the opposition takes a second and reviews those amendments further. And I would just caution you, I'm going to be supporting this measure today. In fact, I would love to be added as a co-author. I would caution you against looking at the vehicle code and putting this responsibility on the DMV from a fiscal perspective. They're a beleaguered agency, and I worry that that kind of adjustment to the bill and moving out of the civil code, as we're hearing today, would not only deny recourse to potential buyers, or to buyers who got the raw end of the deal, but also sort of set you up for failure to fall into the sort of fiscal hole that DMV is currently in. So I'm supporting the bill today, assuming that you're going to be moving this forward under the current framework, and perhaps you can surgically address some of those other outstanding issues within the framework you've got, and maybe meet in the middle that way. But I'll move the bill at the appropriate time, and appreciate you.
All righty. Thank you very much. Questions? No other questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Yellow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It has always been my personal philosophy to abstain from proposed legislation that affects the retail automobile business for obvious reasons, so I will be abstaining.
All righty. Let me conclude by saying I will incorporate by reference Senator Ashby's comments as my own. All right. Having said that, there's a motion by Senator Stern. Senator Allen, would you like to close?
Yeah, I mean, with that, actually, with your comment, Mr. Chair, I mean, I mean, it's certainly my preference to do what Senator Stern suggested, which is to try to incorporate as many of the concerns as we can within the current framework. And I certainly welcome the committee's assistance in that on a going forward basis. I know there's a whole bunch of issues that they continue to have, and I'd like to see if we can do it within the current framework, just given the enforcement challenges. But I'm very open to continual conversation, and I hope that the committee will assist us as we try to land a deal. And with that, I respectfully ask for my vote.
Thank you. All right. Committee Assistant Porter, please call the roll.
This is file item 34, SB 766. The motion is due pass as amended to Senate Appropriations. Umberg?
Aye.
Umberg, aye. Nilo? Allen?
Aye.
Allen, aye. Ottergein? Ottergein, aye. Ashby? Ashby, aye. Caballero? Caballero, aye. Durazo? Durazo, aye. Laird? Laird, aye. Stern? Stern, aye. Valadares? Wahab? Weber Pearson? Weber Pearson, aye. Wiener? Wiener, aye. 10-0.
10-0, put that on call. If there are no other committee members with civilian witnesses, then I'm going to go ahead. Do you have?
Okay. I'll go right after you for the because of the DOI people, but you should come up. Yeah.
I do have witnesses.